So today I want to talk about the fact that you can absolutely love yourself and not love your hair loss, not love your shaved head if that's what you have, or not love having to wear wigs. And I am intentionally using the word have there. There's this notion sometimes that people will say, well, you should just love yourself as you are, meaning you should just accept the erosion of self in the mirror, if that's what you're experiencing. And I use that for myself to describe what I've been through. You should just love the thinning head of hair. You should say goodbye to who you were before. It shouldn't bother you. They're very, very dismissive of it. But the fact that we do the things that we do, actively seek treatment, actively seek help, modify our way of living for our hair loss to make this work, wear wigs. This is self-love. Doing the hard things is self-love. These are not easy things to deal with. And personally, for me, I don't love a shaved head. I have one, I don't love it. I don't love having to wear wigs. And yes, the word is have, because if I want to have hair, I have to wear a wig. My bio hair can no longer do anything useful, actually. There's so much more to hair, by the way. Speaking on the fact that people often think that wigs are vain, or you're vain for worrying about your hair. There's so much to hair that people don't realize. That's often the person with a full head of hair having no idea, can't even conceptualize what you're going through that says this. But when you have hair, and I can even say it with a wig on my head, and I can even remember long ago, before 21, before I started losing my hair, how it was like, but you don't realize it at the time. But there is a comfort, there's a tactile, there's a sensory experience to hair. And as a woman, most women have longer hair and are used to having, a feeling of hair around them, touching it or doing certain things. And even if no mirror existed, and even if no person existed in front of you, how you feel with knowing that you're framed, you just know it's there, how you can feel it around you. It changes how we interact in this world. It changes how we walk down the street. It changes our interpersonal relationships and dynamics and how we communicate with other people, and in the workplace and in the grocery store. It changes every single dynamic of where we are because we are feeling a certain way. Now, lop off that part of you, you're going to feel a very different way. And it's not something that you just adjust to and it goes away and you're just like, it didn't for me. And to be honest with you, it still hasn't. And I have had 26 years of hair loss, and maybe I am just the weird one, but I've adjusted to it. I've learned to work with it. I've learned to make it work so that I didn't no longer lose my life to hair loss. But what hasn't changed is when hair is present around me, I can feel like I don't know if it's like, I want to say it's not even like, because I do it in the house when nobody's here. So it's not like, you're feeling more of a visual, better representation for somebody else because it's just me in the house and nobody's looking at me. But I'm feeling lifted up and I'm feeling better and I'm feeling like my thoughts come to me more clear. I know that's going to sound crazy, but when I feel more together, I can perform better for whatever the task is at hand. And I feel like, I don't have kids, but I feel like when people have kids, they're probably showing up better for the people around them when they're able to feel more like themselves. I don't know if that's true or not. If you have kids, you can tell me if it's true. But I just assume it to be true because it's true for every aspect of my life. So while I do go out without a wig often, is that how I feel my absolute best? Is that how I feel, my 100% no? So actually, for me, when I am going to be in a situation where I know like I need to have all of my mental faculties, all of it like hitting on all cylinders, you will always see me in a wig because that is how I feel my sharpest. Like literally my brain coming together more. The feeling of the hair around me, it provides me a sense of peace. And when you deal with depression and anxiety, coming into this, getting hair loss amplifies that like exponentially. Now, which I had depression and anxiety already. When you don't have that and you get hair loss, it's still awful. There are many women that never had anxiety or depression and get hair loss and they all of a sudden are crippled by it. This is a very real thing, which brings another thing to point out, which is like hair loss is often not seen by the medical community as a real issue. That's why a lot of insurance doesn't cover much in hair loss because it's seen as cosmetic. My own steroid shots were rejected for the autoimmune hair loss from 2022 by the insurance company. It listed it as not a medical necessity, by the way. So that was an out-of-pocket expense for me. But it's not a cosmetic issue. It is so much more than just a cosmetic issue. It is like a loss of self when you lose your hair. It's a feeling that I don't actually have to describe to the woman watching this because she already knows it. For me, it was the erosion of self. I literally felt like I was watching myself disappear in the mirror. If anybody ever saw Back to the Future, the people were disappearing out of the picture, they were fading away. Was it Back to the Future that happened in? I don't know. But as each character faded away, that's how I felt. I felt like I was the character in the picture and I was fading away every single day that I had to face the mirror. And I lived that day in and day out. That loss of self is traumatic. That loss of self is extremely traumatic. And there's nothing vain about wanting to feel whole. So doing the things that you need to do within this, whether it's seeking treatment or wearing wigs, there's nothing vain about that. And nobody in your life has to understand that. Nobody in your life has to get that. Only you need to get it. Many people will not understand the scenario. Many people will not understand why my head is shaved when there's still follicles on my head. Many people probably didn't understand early on in my wig life, because there was still hair on my head for sure, and for years after, that why I chose the wig. They didn't have to get it. I got it, and that was enough. I knew what it was doing to me. I knew what I had, I knew what I lost, and I knew what I needed. And that's an important thing, an important distinction for us to keep in mind for ourselves. We know what we need. And I think that when I wanted to start this video and I said, I love myself, but I don't love my hair loss, I don't love my shaved head, and I don't love my wigs, not meaning I don't love what my wigs give me. That's different. I do have wigs that I do love. I love this particular wig. There's other wigs that I love. I love some of my wigs. I love what they do for me, but I don't love having to wear them to be able to have what I had before the loss. It's not just the same. It's not the same thing. I think there's also this disconnect that women don't realize, and that's why they also get disappointed with the wigs, is that there's something on my head. That's apparent. I'm not going to make a high ponytail yoga bun with this wigs. There are ponytail wigs. There's all of that. Yes, you can make a low ponytail. Yes, you can make a middle ponytail and pull out the front pieces. Will this ever be exactly like my bio hair ponytail yoga bun? No, it won't. Even with a ponytail wig, it's not going to be exact. There's not the feeling of the tactile feeling where you're grabbing all your hair through your scalp, that feeling, the pull, right? It will never be exactly the same. So a lot of women expect that their wig is going to perform exactly the same as their bio hair, and it's just not. There are limitations to it, and that's it. By the way, in my hair loss life, I lived so much of my hair loss life in a friggin' ponytail. Like that's what I was like stuck in a permanent ponytail because of the hair loss. So when I started wearing wigs, for me, knowing that wigs didn't look so great in a ponytail, in my view, there's better ones at this time because they have ponytail wigs. It wasn't a hard trade-off for me. I was like, I lived like so many years in a ponytail. Now I get to have my hair down. But yeah, of course, there's situations where we want the ponytail. I want the ponytail for sure. There's been situations in that. But I digress. But wanting to have this part of you is not vain. If my leg fell off and I wanted one back, nobody would be like, you're vain from wanting your leg. And I know people will say it's not the same losing a leg, but it's still losing a part of yourself. That's not something that should be minimized. It's not something that should be dismissed, and it so often is. And you don't have to love what you need to do in this process to make it work. When people say you should just love yourself as you are loving yourself as you are by doing the things you need to do to make this work. People want me to love myself as I am and just go out with a bald head because it's shaved, right? Just do that. Or live you let it grow out and be very thin and flighty and frizzy and cotton candy hair, and that should be the thing that I should be okay with. I'm not. And this is my life. So what other people think cannot be the factor of what limits you to do the things that are necessary in your life. And you can hold those two truths also. You can say, I love myself, but I do not love having hair loss. Obviously, I do not love if you shaved your head or did anything else, or treating your hair loss. I don't love having to treat my hair loss, which is a forever thing, by the way. If you have female pattern baldness, you choose to treat your hair loss. You're committing, signing up for that for life. All hair loss treatments targeting female pattern baldness have to be done for life if you want to maintain the benefits, if any, were received from that treatment. You can say, I don't love that, but I'm willing to do that. You can say, I don't love having to wear wigs, but I appreciate what they give me. Like, they don't have to be all together. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I think there's a bit of a toxic positivity also when it comes to the online world and dealing with hair loss and wigs. If you're not in that space, you may feel very disconnected from somebody saying wigs were just so much better than their bio hair ever was, and like they don't care that they lost their hair because now they have wigs, and it's so great. And if it's true for that person, then that's wonderful, but that may not be true for you, and it's definitely not true for me. And I've been dealing with this for a very long time. I've been wearing wigs for a very long time, and I'm not going to wake up 5 years from now and be like, my wigs were better than my bio hair, this is the best thing ever. It will never happen. It's never going to happen for me. It doesn't need to happen for me to appreciate my wig life, to appreciate, what a shaved head gives me, but at the same time, not really loving the fact that I have to do either one of those. But this is the hand I was dealt. These are the cards I've been given. And I either turn over the rest of my life to hair loss, or I make peace, as I have, with doing the things that are necessary to move forward through this. And you can move forward through this at your pace, not on anybody else's pace. Like, healing has no timeline. There's no speed at which you need to navigate this. But I do think it's helpful to know that you can, in your own way, on your own time, figure a way to make this work in your life. And I think that will look different for every single person. It's not going to look like every single reel on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It's going to look your way, which may look different than my way. And that's what makes the world go round. We all have the ability to deal with this differently. Part of that is how I feel like we came into this world with a certain whatever, like we popped out into the world, and then also we were shaped by the world. We pop out one way. I do believe like we pop out a certain way with a certain amount of things, and then the world shapes us, right? And so what we can deal with and what we can't deal with is going to be dependent upon those things and individual for us. And it's not going to, maybe it looks the same across some people, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't need to look identical to anybody else. So I hope that makes sense, that knowing that you can absolutely love yourself and hate what you have to do in this process. And you can love what your wigs give you, but hate having to wear them. And none of it's perfect. It's hair loss. None of this is perfect. But what's important is finding a way to not lose years and years and years of our life to this. That's one of the things why I speak a lot about this, is because I lost so much of my life to hair loss. And it's just time that I won't get back. It was just all of my 20s and, some of my 30s. And like, I wish I got a do-over. I don't get a do-over. I wish I could obviously implant my present day thinking into my 21-year-old self. That would have been a game changer. I can't do that. But what I can do is share to you that the ability to live with this exists in your way, that you may not see it presently, now, not today, not when you're crying, not if you're on the shower floor crying, not when you're in complete despair and disbelief that this is happening. You may not see it presently. The pain is real, the grief is real, the feelings are real, and the feelings are valid, and you are not vain for feeling any of the things that you are feeling. But keep in mind that the ability to move through this also exists in time. And I think having the knowledge of it, for me, having the knowledge that the ability to live with it existed would have helped me. What would have helped me at 21 would have been having the true knowledge that this could work at some point in time in my life. Because if that person made it work, I can make it work. I could conceptualize that. I could hold on to that. That would have helped me. With that, I do want to share that with you guys. I don't know if that helps or if any of that made sense, but just know that I see you, I get you, and there is a way through this.